Hello there, my name's Chip Jenkins and welcome. We're going to do a few singing exercises today, starting off with some easy stuff about the diaphragm. A lot of you are a little bit confused as to what the diaphragm does, what it looks like and how it feels when you're using it. So I'm going to take you through some diagrams first to show you diagrams of the diaphragm, and then we're going to start actually using it with a little exercise I've made for you today.
I'm sure you can see on this picture of the diaphragm that there's a slightly darker line which is just underneath the rib cage. This is the diaphragm, and it's actually as thick as a piece of car tyre. Now when you breathe in, you may be able to see that there's a couple of little arrows going in either via the nose or via the mouth. The lungs fill with air and the diaphragm drops down. In the diagram here it says the diaphragm contracts, but I prefer to use the word the diaphragm drops down because it's a kind of easier way to think about it. So the diaphragm drops down, and then as you breathe out, either on a psh or a or whatever sound you're using to actually make a pronounced breath out, you will see that the diaphragm slightly moves up again. It says here the diaphragm relaxes. It actually kind of goes back to its original position. And you can see this on the diagram on the right hand side where it says breathing out. And again, if you follow those little arrows, the air comes up via the windpipe and either goes out via the nose or out via the mouth. Again, I just want to draw your attention to the fact that when you're breathing in, the chest ever so slightly expands, and when you breathe out, the chest actually contracts a little bit as the diaphragm moves upwards. So there is a little bit of movement in the upper body as well, but you really need to be concentrating on the lower abdominal wall to really get the best optimum breathing. I think it's very interesting to note that the diaphragm goes down lower at the back than it does at the front. And we're going to try a couple of exercises in a moment where you'll be able to actually feel that with your hands.
Good. Now some of you ask whether it's best to breathe in through the nose or whether it's best to breathe in through the mouth. So I'd like to clear up a couple of things right now. If you're singing classically, it's probably best to breathe through the nose for two reasons. The phrases in classical singing are a lot longer. And also, if you're in kind of like pop, funk, rock mode, you're going to want to have like a quick, short, sharp burst of power. So it's probably quicker to actually get the breath in through the mouth, like so. Okay, let's do some practical stuff. Here's what I'd like you to try. It's just feeling the area where the diaphragm is. So one hand kind of here. If you follow your rib cage round, you'll actually feel the beginning of the diaphragm. So if you follow your fingers, keep them lightly in the little V, and just ever so quickly, a short sharp burst will show you where your diaphragm actually begins. But we're just going to keep the hand a little bit lower than that, just to feel the expansion. And then on the back, I'd like you to have your hand somewhere in the middle of your back, just about there. And what I'm going to get you to do, really easy stuff to begin with, is just allow that area to release or expand, like this. Okay? And then exhale, and you'll notice everything just springs back naturally to where it was at the beginning. Okay, let's try that. So 1, 2, 3, breathe in, hold it, and then breathe out. Great. So the next thing I'd like you to do is a little bit more difficult. We're actually going to feel how the diaphragm kind of springs upwards. So this time what I'd like you to do is do a little bit more of a pronounced breath, maybe a ha breath you can call it. Those of you who've done hatha yoga before may have done this. So again, hands, one at the front, one at the back. I call this sandwich hands. Okay, so you're the meat in the middle in between the sandwich hands. And as you breathe in, release the area of the diaphragm, and as you breathe out, And as you reach the end of the heart, you will notice you'll feel a little bit of kind of squeezing going on in the middle. So the next exercise we're going to do is going to develop that sensation a little bit further.
We're going to build up a little bit of stamina for our breathing and our support. The sound we're going to be using is psh. Are you ready? Okay, here we go. We're going to let the abdominal wall expand as we inhale. A quick swimmer's breath. That's great. Keep it steady. Measure your breath. And breathe. Okay, you're getting good at this now. And keep squeezing. Don't let it all escape at once. Gently support. And squeeze when you think you have no more air. Go on, squeeze, 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 squeeze. Good job. And breathe. And as you support, begin to feel the diaphragm. Just how strong it can be. Very good. And begin to squeeze, 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 squeeze. Good job. Breathe. Shoulders down. And this is the last one. Here we go. Breathe. Very good. Keep supporting. You may need to squeeze just a little bit.